What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Captain's Run with myself and the great Skipper Scope joins us off the bat. How good. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Don't forget to text us 0457 736 736. Let me know who are the premiership favourites and also who is a dark horse. Who is a dark horse to win the comp? Now, don't forget, guys, thanks to everyone join us on all platforms that you get the podcast. But Skipper Scope, how you going, brother?
Beak, pleasure. Good to get the start again. Some would call me the Harry Hayes of podcasting. I've been extended for another week.
Well, he's
a bit of a late bloomer.
He's till 2029. You get a big contract, did you?
2029. Well, at least I got to at least another episode.
Well, Hutcho, speak to me.
And I'm a late bloomer in the radio game, and I feel like I've got a bit of Harry Hayes about me just after we heard the news coming in, mate. So good to be here for the first hour again.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I, on the week that my son was born, we had a name for my second son. And on the morning, so we had two names, but one was picked and the other one was like, no, we're not going to go with that. On the morning of us going into the hospital, she walked in and she was like, I want this name. Anyway, that same weekend, I had Harry Hayes and Dylan Walker as anytime try scorers, paying about $50.
Yeah.
Got up. Son's name's Hayes.
Hey, love a good omen.
A good omen. That's a great omen. Now, my other son, he was actually born close to the Broncos grand final. I was like, please win. Hope the Brisbane Broncos win so my son can be born in the year that the Broncos won. So that sucks it didn't win. Thanks, guys. Thanks heaps for that. Ruined my son's whole life. Okay.
Actually, I'm just thinking about that now. 86. Started at the Eels. Last time the Eels won the grand final. I was born in 86. And
there you go. Well, there you go. There you go.
I could be your son. I should be your son, Kempy.
Oh, at least your club didn't let you down, mate. Don't forget, guys, next Monday, Bloke Footy Shorts are dropping. It's a collaboration with Aussie Footy Shorts. They are dropping next Monday at 6 p.m. We've got a bunch of different designs, including some very special tradie designs. You're going to like this. It's going to match your high vis. So you'll really, really like it. Set your alarm next Monday, 6 p.m. Plus, we've got a bunch of other ones like Fishing Bloke, Camping Bloke, all that good stuff. It's next week, 6 p.m. Alrighty, a war of words has erupted between Gus Gould and the NRL over the sanction handed down to Panthers trainer Corey Bocking. Here's some audio from Gus Gould.
I think it's the greatest beat-up I've ever seen in rugby league. I walked in here tonight and I said to Nico Hines, our guest, I said, if a trainer ran in front of you before you're about to kick, would you care? He said, no, just line it up again and kick it. He wouldn't even worry about it.
Which is what he
got to do. It's the greatest beat-up I've ever seen.
He got
this is a perfect example that officialdom can be influenced by social media and what the fans say. It's the best example because the fans were blowing up long before anyone in rugby league had even worried about it. I think it's the greatest beat-up I've ever seen. $50,000 in 5 games? Give me a break.
Yeah, okay. Gussie Gould. I'm not sure what he was watching because I literally saw the Titans trainer stand up blowing up. The first guy to blow up, and then Vossi was blowing up.
Vossi, McInnes.
Ennis was blowing up.
We all did straight after. We didn't have to wait till social media. Yeah. Anyone was watching the game was like, what's going on?
Campbell was blowing up.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what he's talking about there. So in regards to a reaction to social media, it's a bit of a throwaway line because, like, where's the evidence for that? You just don't know. I think that with Gussie Gould, there's always something else going on.
Yeah,
with
what's
Gussie
the
Gould.
angle? That's what I'm thinking too. Uncle Gus has got something going on.
He's always got something going on. So he's a shrewd operator. He doesn't just throw things out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Because I'd be pretty confident if that was a game, a season-defining game,
yeah,
or people were playing for their contracts,
yeah,
and someone ran in front of Stephen Crichton, I don't think he would just be like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And the argument about, some kickers would just go back and kick it. It's like, that's not the point.
I hate that argument.
Yeah, the point is you're supposed to be creating a fair playing field for everyone that is going to kick the ball. So how do you do that? By trying to create the environment as close to similar as possible.
For sure.
What changes that is people running in between the kicking and obviously the goal. But would love to get your thoughts, mate. First on the situation, and then we're going to read some responses from Abdo.
Yeah. I disagree with it. As soon as I heard it, I always, I get the tinfoil hat on, especially when Uncle Gus says something like that. All right, well, what's Uncle Gus's angle?
Yeah.
Is he siding with the Panthers because trying to stop any sort of Panthers Bulldogs rivalry come finals?
Okay.
Like I couldn't figure it out, and I'm just spitballing, throwing it. By the way, too, with Gus's point with Nico, who was he must have been a guest on their show. Please, like 4 weeks, they're going all right now. The Sharks. 5 weeks ago, if Nico's kicking a goal from the sideline with the way they were and the pressure they were under, that might be a different response from Nico. Not to say that Nico might not have that response regardless, because if Uncle Gus asks you a question, you might shorten up a little bit.
Well, as if Nico's going to be like, yeah, I'll be rattled.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, you're never getting selected for Origin again.
And the other one that I hate, and I've seen this around Penrith Panthers fans in support or trying to make the excuse in support of the Panthers trainer for doing the wrong thing, was the Nathan Cleary incident.
3 years ago.
When a fan threw a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was in Vegas, was it? Was it in Vegas? It was in Vegas, right? That's a fan.
I know, it's not.
Like, even though that's not acceptable, and that fan should be banned, that's not a person that has the privilege of being on the field with the players in a professional manner.
Yeah.
So you're not going to say that, oh, well, Nathan, threw the bottle away, went back and kicked. Like, that's still not right, but also that's a fan, and that should not be used as an excuse. So that's one of the, I guess, the responses that I've seen from Panthers fans during this period. And to be fair, I've seen a whole number of Panthers fans that have either been on. I've seen, because I go on whenever I see when a big story like this happens, Kempy, I go on, watch your show and get your opinion on it. I'll watch, the Hello Sports Boys. They normally have a giggle at it. I'll watch all the other shows, and I think about even 75 to 80% of Panthers fans were like, that wasn't on.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't good. And I think in regards to, like, even if you're going to use the Cleary example, okay, so you're using one of the greatest club players of all time, that's nickname is the Iceman, as a bar for, well, anyone should be able to get interrupted. It's like he's essentially the greatest club player of all time, at least one of them. He should be the bar for, well, if he can do it, everyone else should be able to do it. So
but even aside from actually getting it, moving it out of the way and kicking it, it's still not right.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like, you can't use that as an excuse because that fan shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. And so some Panthers fans, what about in 2022? The Eels trainer ran under the goals. That was wrong too. That was wrong too. Now, the reason I think that this was a bigger blow-up is obviously, when you are the best team in the comp, you've won 4 premierships in a row, obviously there's going to be more noise around. People just dislike the best team in the comp. That's the way.
That's fair.
The way of the kind of world. But anyway, Abdo had something to say in response. He said, this is not a reaction to social media or to the public. Abdo said at the launch of Indigenous Round yesterday, this is the 6th breach of the Penrith Panthers involving trainers since 2021. So everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I can say categorically that this is not a reaction to public or to social media. This is an application of the rules, something of which we discussed and debated quite vigorously, real time, over the weekend. Bocking immediately apologised, but the NRL took into account the Panthers' history, handing down their sanctions. Earlier this year, their head of football, Shane Elford, was sanctioned for wetting the ball during a game against North Queensland. Footage has also emerged on Tuesday. So there's footage emerged about a trainer lingering. That one, I'm like, I feel like every trainer does that.
It's quite common.
It's that like, you're just looking for stuff then.
Yeah, it did. Look, he was on for the entire set, and you're not allowed.
And he was directing players around.
That's the part of it. The more experience you get too, right? And the more games you win, the more confident you get in moments like that. Like, the more experienced trainers are going to stay out for those sorts of moments in big games. That's just that happens quite often.
I do want him to get rid of that though.
I hate it. I hate it.
Like, watching him direct it around, it just feels gross.
And you know what? As a player, Kempy, I hated it. There was a couple of times once I got a little bit older, and we had trainers that would come out and they'd be giving you messages and they're trying to relay what the coaches are saying. Sometimes it got in the way of the communication of what was trying to talk about with my halves and middles and all that. So I told a couple of our trainers, it's not until you get older and more established you tell them to beat it, get off the field, because we're trying to communicate here.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit of a hindrance. So I hate it for both reasons.
Yeah.
I hate it because it can be used an advantage, and then it can just get in the way of what the players are. Just let the players play it out. I don't want to be talking about trainers.
Yeah. Very, very, very strange, as I said, to watch the footage. And I just think that it's not a Penrith Panthers problem. It's a game-wide problem.
Yep, agreed.
And so I do think that, moving on. Now, in regards to Gus and ulterior motives, is it a potential that Gus, the Bulldogs, lost on the weekend and he's just trying to maybe take some headlines off it?
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think of that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Because they've been a bit wobbly.
Yeah.
They've been a bit wobbly for a while. They had a big win against Manly, but outside of that, they've been, here or hereabouts, had some big second half losses. I wonder if it's just that.
Yeah, good chat.
Yeah.
I've seen a few people have mentioned recently in the last couple of weeks, Scott, their losses, 4 out of their 5 losses have been in the wet, which is
Yeah.
I watched both games live. We called last week's game, or called the weekend's game against the West Tigers, and then attended the Bulldogs game as part of the Bulldogs and doing some stuff around the anniversary of the grand final, 95. The one thing that was noticeable from both games is when they do get second phase and get an offload, really good interchanging of passing between their middles. So when they go second phase, they're able to go all the way to the opposite side of the field. They can't do that in the rain. Like, they don't have the ability to do that because those short passes just aren't as effective. So, yeah, that's a good. I reckon that's a good one as well. There's a part of me that thinks there's going to be a big Bulldogs-Panthers game at the back end of the season, and Gus is just massaging that relationship.
In regards to the Bulldogs in the wet, funnily enough, I actually think Penrith at the start of their reign had issues in the wet as well because their game revolves around fitness and keeping ball in play. And so when you're in the wet, there's so many errors, slows all the play down. So it's an even playing field for most teams because you don't have that added fitness benefit that the Bulldogs have in games like that. So the Tigers, are the Bulldogs more skillful than most other teams? Probably not. They're probably just as skillful, just as big, just as strong in the gym. What they definitely are, though, and so is the Penrith Panthers, is usually fitter than every other team.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get a lot of errors, then you're basically on a level playing field. And if anything, the Tigers are actually quite skillful. They've got a bunch of almost touch footy players to a degree. It's almost in their DNA. So
you're right. And think about it as well. The Melbourne Storm has struggled this year in the wet.
Yep.
So it brings the playing field. It keeps it tidy, and then maybe the frustrations start to creep in at the 60-minute mark when you're not blowing away a team you're expected to do.
Yeah.
Or the other team kicks away and then you start to chase points, but in those conditions, you're just not able to execute at the same level as you normally do.
Well,
so
here's
that's
the
where the frustration comes from.
Dragons have won 2 big games against top-tier sides in the wet.
Yeah.
Against the Melbourne
Raiders
Storm and the Raiders because it's the great leveler.
Yep.
It's the great leveler.
There you go.
So I think that's why the Bulldogs, now obviously they'll find their way out of that. It's going to be interesting. Do they recruit to find their way out of it? Do they change their game plan? Is it a kicking game that needs to happen? I guess Penrith Panthers, they definitely found their way out of it, so we'll see. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. We've got West Tigers have ramped up negotiations with Adam Doueihi by stretching their offer to a second year. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, brought to you by Bloke and Aussie Footy Shorts, which is dropping next Monday at 6 p.m. Make sure to be there. Alrighty, the West Tigers have ramped up negotiations with Adam Doueihi by stretching their offer to a second year. Doueihi was instrumental in the Tigers' win. He was outstanding on the weekend. The Dragons have already met with Doueihi, who view him as an ideal number 13 for the Parramatta-bound Jack de Belin. The Tigers' initial table was a 1-year deal worth around $350K a season. Now added the 2027 season on the same money. They've looked at Luai and Latu as the long-term halves, so Doueihi's a ball-playing lock moving forward, according to sources with the Tigers. Mate, what do you reckon about the whole situation?
Yeah, he's become a bit of a victim of his versatility, hasn't he? Like you, there's so many things to factor in here for both the Tigers and Dragons. I'm surprised that the Dragons have pitched him as a lock. I did a potty with Grub while you guys were in Vegas. Remember when you guys were in Vegas and Willie went over?
Yep.
I had Grub fill in and I asked him a question. I said, "What's Adam Doueihi like?" Because he spent some time at the Tigers. I said, "This is on the potty too, by the way." So, and Grubby was like, "Yeah, he doesn't strike like." I don't think he'd be stoked with playing lock, put it that way.
Okay.
So I think he views himself as a 7 or 6. So once I heard that the Dragons were in, I assumed that they were going after him to play 7 or 6. Now, if both teams are looking at him as a lock or a 14 or that, that versatile weapon, which is so important, and for me, I would pay really good money for a guy that can play multiple positions like him. I guess I go back to the Tigers being front runners, especially if they've gone to the second year, which he was asking for.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? What would you pay for Adam Doueihi? Consider you got to factor in the injuries that he's had. I like that you're the same. You like players that can play multiple positions, or would you rather a guy just be an out and out gun at a position and then good cover at another or one or two?
Well, my biggest concern is I'm just a bit shocked that they're so in on Fainu now. I'm a bit. I understand giving the young kid confidence, but is Latu Fainu ready to lead a team around at 7 or be at 6? But I'd assume it'd be at 7. And I just think that are you potentially going to lose? Because right now, even in next year, I think they're a better side with Luai at 7, Doueihi at 6. And so I just think that, like, Latu is only 20 years old. So he's got plenty of time. And I just wonder, are they rushing his development for no reason? Like, they don't need to. They got Doueihi that him and Luai seem to play really well together. Doueihi wants to play there. It give him an extra year to kind of work out his game in, like, how many good games has Latu had in first grade as a number 6 or a 7?
I think only the one, right?
Yes,
against the Roosters.
Essentially, like
the one against the Roosters.
And
But I think that was so he. To be fair as well, like he hasn't had a whole heap of opportunities. Yeah, I would love in the perfect world. I think of the Tigers if they can get Doueihi for a good price and those two can actually compete for it. That's sort of your main point with it, right? You don't want to just guarantee Latu the position.
I'm not understanding that.
Okay,
I understand
fair.
giving a young fella confidence, but he's 20. Like you don't. Do you really need to say you are definitely the 6 next year? I don't know.
The only thing is just with the urgency, and understandably so, Benji, the urgency with Benji to get that position right is way more than anyone else that, you know, like, look at Jason Rolls. Jason Rolls is in his first year at Parramatta. He's flirting around with Dean Hawkins and Josh Papali at the moment. Parra will gladly give him a whole year to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, Benji's not in, he doesn't have that window.
Yeah.
Well, they perceive, anyway, from an outsider looking in and know the media landscape and how the pressure can be applied very quickly. So,
at least, like, even the preseason.
Yeah.
You know, see how they go in the preseason.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me the most. Now, I do think he could be a good 13, but again, have we seen Doueihi week in, week out, having to make 40 tackles? It's a big question. We haven't. And, like, you know, I think that when your body has to go from being a back to a forward, I think he could make a good 13, definitely. Like, if he's fresh every week, absolutely, he'll kill it. It's just the wear and tear on the body at 13 is way different to the wear and tear of the outside backs, and I just wonder whether it'd be interesting to see how his body holds up to it.
Yeah, if they went, and I said this from the start, once I watched or not from the start, once I seen Latu play against the Roosters, after that game, I went, all right, this is good for the Tigers for a couple of reasons. One, he's got the potential to be a long-term partner with Jerome post the Lachlan Galvin, and they can bring someone in for competition. That competition just might even be within the building right now, and Adam Doueihi. At worst, I think Latu Fainu can be a really good 14. So I don't really see...
Well, he's done well at 14.
I don't really see a negative in keeping Doueihi at all, because if they do, and he competes with Latu during the preseason, and Adam Doueihi wins that spot, it's not to say that Latu will never, ever play in the halves for the Tigers again, but I'm really confident he can play 14 at a high level. And he did that on the weekend. Did a great job coming on. A little bit different than what he would expect at the start. Well, I don't know how early in the week they made that change. But, I see no negative at all at extending Adam Doueihi, if only, like, depending what the price is.
And I would have I think that's too low.
Yeah, 350 is too low.
Yeah.
I would go to 500.
Yeah, same.
I would go to 500 for Adam Doueihi for 2 years.
The only thing I'd probably try to get into the contract, at least in the second year, is like if he's injured for a certain amount of games, maybe there's some kind of, I guess, give or take.
But then if you're Adam Doueihi and you have something like that in your contract and the Dragons don't, then you probably just go to the Dragons, right?
Well, like if you go, let's say, it doesn't have to be huge, but let's say it's 500 the first year, 500 the second year, but if you play, I don't know, only 10 games, it's 400. You know what I mean? Like something.
Well, then you've got to give them the incentive to go the other way then too, I reckon.
Yeah,
you've
maybe
got to
550.
It goes to 556. If you pay 25 plus.
Which I'd be okay with.
Yeah, 100%. Because if he's playing 25 games plus, he's obviously playing well, he's fit, and then you must be going well. You must be if he's locked in for 25 plus.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that, don't get me wrong, he's been great since he's come back, but he does have a long history of injuries. Yeah. And you just got to, I think with 2-year deals.
He looked good streaking away, though.
He looked great.
Didn't he?
I didn't know he was that fast.
No, I thought they were going to grab him for sure, especially when Jethro sort of turned and got within distance at about the 40-metre mark. And then he looked like he found another gear, which is I'm pumped for him.
I will say it's a really good sign for Doueihi that his body still moves like that.
Yeah.
Because some people that get injured quite a lot, you can tell that their body just will not move at the same pace it used to.
So even the confidence to do it, Kemp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like to go after it, and his first thought was to streak away, because you've seen players who've been injured recently, who as soon as they get in the clear, they start looking for someone to support. He just went go, and then he had a look, and then he realised he had him, and he just kept on going.
Yeah. So I will say, Adam Doueihi, we have to remember, this is the same guy. They were looking to build a club around him a few years ago.
Yeah.
He's a bloody good player. He's a really, really good player. very intense competitor, which you always need at a club.
He was my favourite from that Tiger Town documentary as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Come off really well.
The way he carried himself. And
Yep.
yeah, he's got leadership qualities. And that was, 5 years ago now?
Yes, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Tigers should keep him. I really do because, 500K for a player of his quality, of what he can deliver.
Yep.
You actually, like, him at his best can deliver around 700K worth of value, maybe even 8.
Agreed.
So if you can get that, I think it's a good deal.
He played like a $750,000 player on the weekend.
There you go. There you go. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more to talk about, including Galvin prepared to take painkillers. Got Manly shift Doueihi to fullback, and also Arabic signs of love. Come back to the Captain's Run. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Alrighty, Galvin prepared to have pain-killing needles to play against the Warriors. Sydney Morning Herald is reporting. Canterbury star Galvin is prepared to have his hand injury needled in a bid to play. Now, I'm going to be honest, and I might sound like a hater. Literally happens in every changing room, every game.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess because we need an opportunity to talk about Lockie this week,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Do we
I'm
not need
sick.
have we not missed our window? Like the Tigers thing's over. There was
Sick to death.
Looked like there was very little drama in that game, which sort of annoyed us. We want to talk about Lockie even more.
Sick to death. Don't
In
want to talk
saying
about
that,
it.
he's rocking that. What he had a bit of bandage over the hand. Yeah, he'll get through it. He should be sweet. Did you notice? Well, here's one thing that we noticed on Sunday, by the way. 18th man was Mitch Woods.
Yes.
For the game.
Yep, absolutely. It's interesting. Has he leapfrogged Toby Sexton?
Has to have.
I mean, he's on the bench at the moment, I think, with Sexton at 23.
In a game like that,
To be 18th man.
to be 18th man with the real possibility in those conditions of someone slipping, and we've seen it twice.
Yeah.
Well, one slipped. Alex Seyfarth was just
Oh, my
being
God.
Alex Seyfarth.
Oh, my God.
I love him.
Okay, now, something I do want to talk about, though. Manly shift Doueihi back to fullback in absence of Lehigh Hopewadi. Is it really an absence of Lehigh, do you think, or is it more we need to win games?
I thought it was Bruin anyway.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I thought like.
Well, look at the game last week.
Yeah.
Anytime he got in good ball, he was way more damaging.
Yeah. Look, he was. I hate it too. By the way, Kempy. I hate that
too.
he's going. I hate he's going back to fullback. I want to see him finish off the season in centres and look as healthy as he is, because he's been, despite the last 2 weeks in the results, and I've been saying this for the 4 weeks now. He looks the best physically that we have seen Tommy in maybe 2 or 3 years.
He's hit top speed multiple times.
And mate, and because I got the opportunity to go to one game for the Old Boys Day and then call another game, I was watching him at the back end of games. No signs of limping, no nothing.
Yeah.
So I was stoked for Manly, Tommy. They during that period they were getting wins as well. They had 3 in a row when they made the switch. I knew it was coming. I know there's pressure associated with that club all the time.
I think it's a sign of desperation.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Seibold probably knows if he doesn't make the 8, he's out, and he's just gone. I'm throwing everything at the kitchen sink and everything else at the top 8.
Yeah.
Because
and to be like blatantly honest, like who's to say it's even Siebes' decision?
Yeah.
Like it could have got to the point where it's totally gone over him.
I will say though, like if you're a coach that has certainty, there's no way this year you would risk Tom Trbojevic. Like let's say if you were going to be the coach for the next, just say 3 years.
Yep.
There is no way in hell Manly are winning the premiership this year.
No.
You're not going to come last. So why would you risk the guy that can win you a premiership? Because people go, if he does his hammy, he just goes back and rehabs it. Every injury he gets from here on out increases the likelihood of another injury, as we've seen.
Yeah.
And so that's what this, to me, is very short-term thinking.
Yeah.
It is, we need to make the 8 this year, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's like, who cares if you make the 8? You're not making a dent.
Yeah. But then there's also, you got to factor in the like Tommy, when he does play, his best position in his mind is fullback. So there's external pressure, there's internal pressure, there's Tommy wanting to be a fullback. Like all of this factors in to what I believe will. And man, I touch wood. They're about to go, and this is the part that I've said this for years as well. Tommy travelling, like they're going to Canberra.
Yeah.
Tommy travelling compared to playing at home is a completely different Tommy as well.
Yep.
Just why he's had these injuries. So I just want him to, I hope I'm wrong. I want him to finish the game. I want him to play well, obviously. But there are concerns just because of the injury history, and I would have preferred to see him stay in the centres. Tom Talau come in, Tolu Kola go to fullback, Ruben Garrett go to fullback, even if Lehigh was out.
Yeah, because we've just got a message here. Lehigh is out, so Tommy has to go back to fullback. I just think that the priority, like, let's be real, the priority to move Tommy to centre was to save his body. It wasn't because Lehigh was so good he pushed him out of that position. Lehigh was actually doing really well on the wing.
Yep.
And so the fact that he's been moved back would suggest to me that that is no longer too much of a worry for the coaching staff, that they feel anyway. But I would be putting Kohler. I mean, Kohler's been in incredible form.
Yeah.
You put him back there with the form he's in, he might have an absolute blinder.
Well, the Knights game, he killed it when Lehigh went down, right? Turbo was out of that game. He was killing it. The only reason they ended up getting pulled apart by the Knights in the end was because they had two centres. I mean, two back rows defending in the centres.
Yep.
Because Tolu left, and then I think maybe Tommy Talau got a HIA, so that moved the centre out to the wing position, and both Corey Waddell and Ben Travojevic were the centres in that game. So that's why they got run down. It wasn't because Tolu Kola played well in the first half when they were travelling.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, what do we got next? Actually, next segment we got Scope's tips for the weekend. So what we'll do is we'll go to a break here, and then when we come back, we'll get Scope's tips for the weekend. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Give us a text 0457 736 736. Alrighty, it's Scope tips for the weekend, mate. What do we got? What do we got this weekend, mate?
I got your Broncos beating the Storm.
Really?
Tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's their game-defining?
Yeah,
Season-defining game?
Look, it's a proper coin flip, obviously. Yep. I'd imagine most people probably leaning towards Melbourne because it's in Melbourne. They've got a poor record, but I just feel like the timing is right. Hopefully they get the best version of Payne. Jerome Hughes, a big out. I've got Broncos in a close one.
Ooh, okay, I like that. Knights v Panthers.
Yep, this one won't be close. Unless a Knights trainer runs in the front of Nathan Cleary while he's trying to kick the first kick.
Return serve. I reckon. Do you reckon the NRL fans would go fund me that?
Yeah.
Whatever fine he gets, the NRL fans just go fund it.
Who's I'm trying to think of who's on the staff at the Knights at the moment. Maybe we know. Danny Badiris.
And Green.
Yep. Blake Green's an assistant coach.
Get him in there.
There you go.
There you go.
Danny Bedsy. Panthers by a minute.
Okay. Raiders v Manly.
Raiders. Yeah, Raiders at home. Perfect little wake-up game for Ricky to get him motivated for a Manly team. Manly over the last couple of years have been pretty good against Canberra. Okay. So a bit of a bogey team for him, but Ricky gets the opportunity to give him a good spray, rip into him during review, and then they kick the feet up next week with a bye. So I think they're too good for Manly.
All righty, Dragons v Sharks.
Sharkies with no confidence. Sharkies with no confidence. This could get ugly. This is what I've always done with the Sharks. Just when I start to go, all right, I'm back on, they have a loss like this against a team like the Dragons, and then I go, I'm out of here again.
Yeah.
I've been on a roller coaster with the Sharks all year.
Yeah, I have too. But I will say, bizarrely, if you give them their bye, they're currently sitting fifth.
Yeah, and they're 2 points off.
Warriors.
And
they have a better for and against.
Yep. Because the Warriors won all those close games at the start of the year, right?
So, they actually could sneak into fourth.
Easily could.
And they got an easy run home, a very good run home.
And it would be the toughest watch of the finals, I reckon, the Sharks. They would be.
You don't know what they're going to do.
They're just, Their bad games are really bad.
Yeah. Okay, Dolphins v the Roosters.
Again, similar to the game before, a lot at stake for both of these teams. I'm going the Dolphins because they're at home at Suncorp. That's it. I couldn't split it. Normally when I go a Dolphins game, I always go, all right, who's the best player in the field? And for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been saying Isaiah Katoa if I've gone the Dolphins. The other team's got James Tedesco. So that cancels each other out. I'm going to go Isaiah Katoa and the Dolphins, even though I think Herbie will be a huge loss. Okay,
Bulldogs v the Waz.
Bulldogs versus the Waz. I have the Bulldogs, yep. The Waz have got too many outs, and I know, they're getting Fish, and is it Chanel back this week? But still no Wade Egan. I think the Bulldogs, similar to, who did we just talk about before getting a wake-up call? The Raiders. The top two teams, they got a bit of a wake-up call last week, and they'll be better for it this week.
GC Titans, Rabbitohs.
Titans should win this, but this will be a really hard game for the Titans because they're down the bottom of the ladder. They've had all this sort of carry on with the game on the weekend. They've played a lot better in the last couple of weeks. Now they're going against a team in the Rabbitohs where everyone's expecting them to roll them because of the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Latrell's lurking in that 22 jersey. I know Matty, the Waterboy's already seen that. This could be one of those games if the Titans don't start well, they could find themselves in a bit of a pickle, but I'll go the Titans.
Okay, Eels versus Cowboys.
Eels just because they're at home. These two teams are similar for us where they're just... I think the Eels, I've just got more confidence in what the Eels, even though they've been losing games as well, they've just the effort plays have been a lot better for the Eels. They get the opportunity to be at home. Last game of the round, Cowboys travelling hasn't been good for them this year as well, so I'll go the Eels.
Okay, what's the match of the round?
Oh, match of the round. Dolphins Roosters will be good.
Surely Storm Bronx.
Yeah. Thursday night, Storm Bronx, followed by my second favourite game is going to be the Dolphins Roosters to watch, I reckon. Dolphins are always entertaining.
Yeah, they are an entertaining team to watch.
And the Roosters as well.
I will say, if the Raiders didn't have such a good year, I reckon the Dolphins would be everyone's darling this year.
Yeah.
Because they're in the 8. They should make the 8. It'll be the first time ever. And also, like, Christian Wolf has been outstanding.
If there's a team that I want to win as a neutral, I would love the Dolphins to win the competition.
Oh.
I just think they've got too many injuries and they can't do it. So
Yeah.
it's not realistic. Whereas the Raiders are probably my second favourite team for a team to do something like that. And that is realistic because, they've got, pretty much their full squad at the moment. So, I'm a big fan of the Dolphins. I like the Raiders as well. So, yeah, good shout.
Performer of the week, do you think?
Performer of the week. Okay. Let's go. The biggest games. If I've got the Broncos winning, I got Walshy putting on a show down there.
Walshy, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Against the Melbourne Storm.
Four try assists last week, and it was probably the most reserved that he's been.
Yeah, which is how it works.
Which can be like that would be such good video for Madge to show. I know they're a really depleted Rabbitohs team. And they were expected to win by the margin that they did. But just going to him, look, mate, look what we did early on. It wasn't pretty. They were within range, and we are just so much more talented than most other teams. Now we're going against the Storm. Now we might need the heroics, but if you keep that base this week, you can still have the opportunity to come up with a game winner and a big moment at the back end of the games, like you did at the back end of that game against the Rabbitohs.
I mean, I always go back to his Game 1 Origin, his debut, I'm pretty sure it was. And I said before the game, he literally, don't even pass it in the first half. Just run it. And he did that. So he clearly listens to the podcast, obviously. and then the second half, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. Reece Walsh is so good in attack that the opportunities will absolutely always come. There'll never be a game where Walsh won't have an opportunity because he's so good in attack.
Did you notice with Hunty, I reckon more so than... he's only had 2 games or 3 games at hooker with that spine, with Hunty playing hooker. I thought he went to just Adam Reynolds as much as he could.
Yeah.
Even with Ezra and Walshy sometimes sitting on short side.
As he should.
They were just sitting there. They were more of a decoy, and he just went to Reynolds and fed him early. Back end of the half, fatigue set in. They started to have some joy, and then he started going, here you go, boys.
Yep.
Let's go. Because, he touches it more than anyone, obviously.
Yep.
So it's, Reynolds has been trying to control them for so long by himself. Now Hunty makes sure he gets the ball to Ren as quickly as possible. So, I think the Broncos can get an upset against the Storm.
Okay, got some text here. Name your Dally M centres of the year.
Herbie Farnworth, Stephen Crichton.
Herbie Farnworth, Stephen Crichton.
How long do we do? Quickly go through our team?
Well, okay, we'll go quickly through our team.
Teddy fullback, we agree on that?
Yes.
Yep. Wingers is hard. Someone texted us.
Kiraz on one.
Yeah, Kiraz on one.
Coates on the other.
Nwanga Tuase?
Yeah, he's been in between centre and wing, but I would go Coates. I'd go Coates.
Are you happy with Critter and Herbie?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Rob Toya, 50.
No, I'll go with Critter and
6.
6 would be. Would it be Dearden because he played most of the year there?
Tommy Dearden, Ethan Strange, Matt Burton.
Berto.
Money.
I could see Burton.
Money.
Burton's been good back into the year.
Yeah, I think those are the shouts.
Ezra's been pretty good as well, but he hasn't, obviously he's not going to win that. He's not going to win that.
Is Isaiah Katoa a half?
Yes, he's absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaiah Katoa half. Front rowers.
I'd say probably Haas Tarpane.
Yep. Tarps is a good shout.
Yep.
Tarps will get it. Haas has missed a few games, but Terrell May a chance?
Yeah, okay, yeah, Terrell May, actually.
Terrell May a chance?
Could be May Tarpane. I think Tarpane is going to get there. Like, being the front row of the team leading.
Yep.
I think
Hooker Brayley?
Yes, at the moment. Hooker
Brayley. Back rowers, Ali Katoa.
And Young.
And Hudson Young.
Yeah.
And Locke.
Aaron Clark.
Aaron Clark. I like it. Trentley Arrow.
Nah, Aaron Clark is a daylight winner for me.
Yep.
Daylight winner.
Yep. There we go.
Okay, there you go. All right, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the Captain's Run. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Warriors are fuming over lenient Felice Kaufusi after confirmation Laban suffered a broken leg. The Warriors are privately, now publicly, fuming over an incident that has resulted in promising forward Laban breaking his leg and being ruled out for an extended period. Laban's shock injury blow is being felt across the Tasman, with New Zealand officials firing off an email of explanation to the NRL over the process of Dolphins forward Kaufusi being charged with grade 2 dangerous contact last Friday night has rendered Laban unavailable for 6 weeks. I got to say, this one I was quite shocked at. I tend to agree with the Warriors, and even if he didn't break his leg and he just, I don't know, kind of injured it or whatever, when you go back and watch it, like, of course, Kaufusi didn't intend to do it, but he definitely grabs his leg and loses his feet and lands on his leg. Sorry, he grabs his hips or like back or whatever, loses his legs and lands on Laban's leg. I tend to agree with the Warriors. I don't think we should take injury into consideration in most cases, but I think one this drastic, like that's like a broken leg or things like that, it's kind of like, well, you got to lose some room for grey. And in this case, I just think that the NRL got it wrong. Now, apparently, if he didn't have carryover, it would have been 1 week. So, like, that's bizarre. Did you know that? If he didn't have carryover, it would have been 1 week?
Really?
To my understanding.
So the fact that he's already had some indiscretions has lent to it being even further.
But, like, it would have only been 1 week. That tackle... without any carryover, would have only been 1 week suspension, and he's broke his leg.
That's not that's
strange.
NRL's missed the mark on that one.
Yeah.
I've always kind of had a feeling that, and I think we've talked about it before as well, where if it is a serious injury like this, where it's like Laban's going to be sitting off for 6, then Kaufusi sits off for 6 as well. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Because that it happened. Only because of that problem, because of that indiscretion. And I know accidents happen, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying Felice meant it in any way, but it was a third man in. It really wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
And now Laban's out for 6. It's like maybe sit Kaufusi down for 6 as well.
Yeah. Look, I would just think at least 4 was appropriate. I will say, Sipley got suspended for 4 weeks earlier this year. He got literally knocked out in a tackle and swung around to the back of legs and landed there. And he got 4 weeks. And yet Kaufusi lost his legs, landed on the back of a leg, broke a leg, and he got essentially 1 week. I can't make any sense of it, really. I really can't. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I agree with the Warriors. I think that they've been extremely hard done by. It's going to be interesting to see, I guess, what they if the NRL respond at all. I'd love to know what do you reckon they're going to say to the Warriors? Any response at all, you reckon, or what?
They've made their decision. I guess that's going to be what they've said. They're going to stick by the people that have made the decision. It's just another thing a Warriors didn't need, did they? Not need another injury. I know we talked about it with Scope before that JFH is back, but losing another big body like Laban, not what they needed.
Not at all. And I think as well, like, sometimes the NRL comes out and says, "Oh, we've got, it's all fair due process, and it's, we really back our MRC and everything like that." And then you see decisions like this, and you're like, "Well, how can you say that it's a good, fair process when you get this so wrong?" That's what I don't understand.
Well, there was that comment about how they grade things on the risk of injury, not the actual injury itself. So is it, I believe so. They lay charge. So that's NRL has suggested they lay charges on the basis of risk of injury as opposed to the outcome.
That's so strange because, like, the risk was 100%. He broke his leg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was literally 100%. He broke his leg.
And you're looking at he's come in third man, and we've had however many cases over the years.
Yeah.
We know the risks.
We absolutely. Third man in is almost like you've got to be so careful about what you do. So, yeah, a very strange one, that one. I'm not really sure how they came to that amount. Now, Raiders forward Trey Mooney meets with the Knights. The Knights have made a move to replenish their forward stocks, meeting with Raiders prop Trey Mooney, touring him through the club's facilities. Newcastle are eager to recover from the departure of Saifidi, Leo Thompson, Kai Pearce-Paul, Sebastian Siu, and Mooney emerging as a major target. The Raiders are aware of Mooney's visits to Newcastle on Tuesday, providing a 23-year-old permission to meet with the rival club despite being contracted to the Green Machine until end of 2027. Equally, the Raiders are happy to retain Mooney, but also understand that the promising talent is craving more NRL football. The powerful ball runner has remained patient behind a logjam of quality forwards at the Raiders, and the Knights can offer Mooney a starting front row spot alongside prop Jacob Saifidi. It's understood Mooney met with the Knights head coach Adam O'Brien, assistant coach Blake Green, and club legend Danny Badiris during the club tour. The Knights are very, very keen. Mooney is yet to reach his potential and will be major addition to their pack alongside 2026 recruits Solo, Ola, and also Dylan Brown. I agree with it. I think this would be a major, major coup for the Newcastle Knights. Trey Mooney, he's a really, really good player. I'm actually a bit surprised that he actually hasn't been able to crack into that Raiders forward pack. Not necessarily starting, but even when they have an injury or two, he can't seem to get in there. I think that if it is true that the Raiders are like, no, we would love to keep him, but we also understand he's a young gun and he wants more NRL time, so we won't stand in his way. I think that's really admirable from the Raiders because, if you're being Raiders and you're just purely about winning games and winning comps, you'd be like, no way. Like, we're keeping you till 2027. We're trying to win comps. And if we lose a key guy, you're coming in and you're going to play well. So, do clubs sometimes do this out of the good of their heart? Maybe. Or is there a mixture of the good of their heart, but also it frees up some salary cap to be able to do other things? I think it's probably a mixture of both.
I think he's looking at, it's just that guaranteed game time, right? I mean, even at the Rads, he hasn't been able to crack it. And unfortunately, I think even if they did have some people move on, there's other people in front of him. Like if Papa did end up moving on, you're probably just moving Horsburgh to start with Tapine.
Yeah.
And he's not getting maybe coming off the bench, but not getting as much of a run there. Whereas if you go to the Knights, I mean, you'd almost look at him starting.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd be starting for sure. I guess my question would be, if the Raiders are literally just like, nah, we want the best for you, you can go. It's like, geez, that is generous. You just never know what's going to happen in footy. Like, what if one of their front rows does an ACL next year? Touch wood. Obviously, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Fair play to them though. If they do, that'd be very good from them.
I mean, they have done it with to an extent. They have done it with Fogarty, right? Like they kind of let Fogarty go for the bigger deal at Manly. It was slightly longer than
He was off contract, whereas I think Mooney's still 27.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I will say the Fogarty situation is so interesting because, I reckon there might be some Raiders higher ups going, we might be in a premiership window here. Maybe we should have kept him for at least another year or two. Mm-hmm. He is only 30 years old or 31 years old. So he's actually not, he's got at least another 2 years in him.
31.
And look, to be fair, if it is because they gave their word to Sanders, then I actually really respect it. That's one thing that I think is really frustrating that, you don't really see, the public doesn't really see is like around contract time, clubs, or not always, but sometimes they promise quite a lot. And then, it comes to the crunch and all of a sudden that promise doesn't mean anything. So if it is the case that they're like, listen, we just couldn't. Like, we had promised Sanders a start. We set aside a certain amount of salary cap for him, and there's only a certain amount for Fogarty because he's now here. Then I would sit there and go, you know what, I actually really respect it from the Raiders. I will say, I say it, I think every single week, but geez, it's just so impressive what they're doing down there. Like, I just can't believe it. I cannot believe a team that was the best back for the spoon is sitting on top of the table. Mm-hmm. Just crazy. So good from Ricky Stewart. And it's a real testament to allowing a coach time to really build their culture, you know? Because that's the biggest issue with coaching is like, sometimes you're making decisions just for the next week because you're just worried about your job instead of thinking, what's a decision to make a grand final? A good example of that is like Riles, he's not making decisions for the next week. He's making decisions for next year because he knows that the club's backing him. Whereas if he was, on the verge of getting sacked, all these decisions would be different. Do you think he's getting rid of all these experienced players and going through the pain that he did at the start of the year? I don't think he is.
With the Rads as well, I mean, there's obviously the rumours that they might be looking to move on Chevy Stewart as well. It's like these are all these players that have these big raps, and somehow Ricky's got them all working that they can let a Fogarty go, they can let a Trey Mooney go, which is it's incredibly impressive. I got a lot of Raiders mates who are just on top of the world, obviously,
as they would be,
and coming from the start of the year where it was, we were kind of not talking smack to them, but saying like, rough season ahead, perhaps, boys.
Yep.
And, they're definitely letting us feel it now.
Yeah. Okay, get some text here. Hi, Denham. It's spelled Denham. KO Weeks has a big weakness exposed 10 weeks ago. And let me guess, I'm not even going to read the rest of the thing. It's going to be under the high ball. Most of the other coaches, I'm sure, saved that in their game plans. Tell me if you know what it is. Oh, okay, yeah, it's under the high ball. Gus Gould has lost the dressing sheds with rugby league fans. We are turning off from him even before the Galvin stuff was happening. Only old players and commentators thinks he's the smartest man in league and can stand his arrogance. The fan base don't. Okay, alrighty. Kempy, Whiten got 4 weeks for a head clash and Kosi got 2 weeks for breaking a leg. Just not fair. Tricky. Yeah, look, the 4 weeks, I see where the NRL is coming from. They're basically saying because you shot up out of the line, it is fully your responsibility to not touch his head. Doesn't matter what part of your body it is. However, I can understand people going, holy moly, a head clash that is unintentional to losing your feet and landing, not to say it is intentional, but you have much more control over it. So I definitely see where you're coming from. Hi, guys. Whose tackle was worse, Jackie White or Kosi? I know which one I think. Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. The idea of suspension equaling an injury leaves too much room for exploitation. What happens when Nathan Cleary could hypothetically injure a fringe fill-in player like the Bulldogs winger, Rennie Karma? Then you're relying on Bulldogs to be honest. How long the injury is, they must say he's out for the season when he might only be needing 2 or 3 weeks just to give themselves a better chance if they happen to play the Panthers later. Yeah, I guess, because injuries are a very vague, you can get scans or whatever, but everyone's different, so that's fair. Okay, Beak, I have a copy of Andrew Abdo's 3-word email to the Warriors. Sorry, not sorry. They made a new rule where you could overrule the MRC, and they did not use it, but they want to suspend a trainer for 5 weeks to look tough. You know what? Look, the trainer for 5 weeks I can understand, but it's actually not a bad point because they did bring in a new rule that I thought was totally inappropriate about them being over. Think about how bizarre that rule was. A rule where the committee can overrule the MRC. So it's just like, well, you're basically admitting that the MRC isn't good at what it does. Because otherwise, why would you need to do that? So I actually thought it's super inappropriate. But you make a very good point. They did bring it in for situations just like this where I think most people would go, that's too light, and they haven't used it. Okay, hi, Timoko is a defensive liability. Why every week, same issues? I don't know about a liability, but yeah, sometimes you can make some poor reads. I think Ricky understands the mentality of young men. Why give a promising young player a chip on their shoulder to bring back against the club? The Tigers' response to Galvin shows that the role that emotion can play for young men and their performance. Okay, fair enough. Okay, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about, including some players on the move. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We're here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions to save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Players on the move. Ed Kosi signs for the Rabbitohs, leaving the Warriors to join the Bunnies on a deal until the end of 2027. Seemed like a bit of an odd one when you look at they probably need some middles. However, my understanding is that there will be a few outside backs that are moving on from the Rabbitohs. So I actually really like this. Get him under Wayne Bennett. Ed Kosi is you can tell the potential's there. It's just about getting him in the right environment that suits his style of rugby league and then getting the best out of him. So I don't mind this. The South Sydney Rabbitohs is just going to be such a strange watch over the next 12 months because, they truly can go from absolute the dumps to world beaters. It's just a matter of can they get all the players on the field playing consistently? Because their team at full strength, I really like it. I really do, especially with Keon in the middle. You put Ewan Aiken on one side. Tallis Duncan has come of age this year as well. And so I think that there is a lot to like. Keon up front, Junior Totolo to start, or even Jai Arrow. Cam Murray at 13. Bring Junior Totolo and Dave Moali off the bench for 20 minutes of just crazy impact. Like a front row rotation, a front row starting of Cheese, Keon, Arrow, Murray. That's a bloody good front row. Like that is explosive. It's fast. It's got everything you need. It's got the big bopper in Keon. It's got the dog in Jai Arrow. It's got the explosive dummy half. And then you've also got Cam Murray, who's the best 13 in the game, or at least one of them. And so, like, it's going to be really interesting to see how they go when they get to full strength. Okay. Kade Dykes signs for the Doggies, and he signed for the 2026 season. Interesting one. I guess the reason why I find this interesting is for two reasons. The fact that the Sharks let him go. So does that mean, I think it's Lisbon? Is it Lisbon, the other young guy coming through?
Ison.
So you'd have to assume that he's next up?
I think so, yeah. So, I mean, he got a little bit of a run when Kennedy was out. Was it late last year, I think? Possibly when Kennedy had that suspension. But, yeah, it was... Look, I think Ison is definitely the next man up. That one hurts me as a Sharks man, losing Kade Dykes. Obviously, the name alone, like for the lineage, that sucks. But, look...
You've been pretty patient with him.
I think so. And it's just been injury after injury. As much as I don't want to, cruel the poor bloke for experiencing that. But yeah, go to the Bulldogs, fresh lease on life. I mean, that's kind of what has happened with Connor Tracy there as well.
Yep.
He had a good sort of turnaround, and obviously he'll join the ranks of playing with your partner, because his partner's at the Bulldogs NRLW.
And I will say, I think Will Kenny's a good, solid fullback. But if there's one of the very few NRL sides where if you are playing out of your skin in reserve grade, where you could put a lot of pressure on Kennedy, it's the Sharks.
It is, well and truly. And yeah, between Dykes, Ison, the chatter of perhaps a Chevy Stewart returning because he's a junior, there is a lot of pressure on Kennedy. And then, of course, you throw in the constant discussion of, do we put Hines back at one? Absolutely.
But I guess my kind of point is that the fact that we haven't really seen him push into first grade yet, he clearly has potential, but it's just not seemed to be working at the Sharks.
Yep.
I think that if he was red hot in reserve grade, I reckon there would have been times over the last 2 years or so where Fitzy would have ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're going to give you a crack in first grade.
Yeah, big time.
So I guess, we'll see. We'll see. In regards to the Doggies, look, the Doggies, I will say, they do have an ability to get the best out of people. Connor Tracy has just gone from strength to strength. Now, I wonder, is it a signing for the future or is it depth? Because I guess if I'm Connor Tracy, if there's already a young fullback from the Bulldogs in the squad and he's pretty good, but then they go and get Dykes, I would be a bit like, okay, what does that signing mean? Does that signing mean that you're still not really confident that I can be a top-tier fullback?
Yep.
If it is purely there's not really that many fullbacks in their squad that they think are NRL standard, then you just say, yeah, sweet, it's a depth signing. It's going to put pressure on me, but that's all good. So, I probably need to take time, sit down, look at the Bulldogs squad, first grade squad, and that will give you a better idea of, is what happened to Sexton happening to Tracy, That's
what I was going to say. They have the history of doing it already in a pretty pivotal position.
Yeah.
So they're obviously not scared to pull the trigger on, planning for the future, as opposed to playing with this consistent dude who is performing.
Yeah.
So if you are Tracy, there is a little element in the back of your mind that is a little bit worried by the Dykes signing. But I think ultimately right now, unless they get a world-class fullback, I think it's probably Tracy's.
Probably all good. Yeah, I will say that, in regards to the Bulldogs, yes, definitely a bit of surprise that they signed Lockie Galvin whilst being on top of the table. However, I will say, this was always the plan from the Bulldogs. The guys that they've brought in to sign were always a stepping stone to a premiership side. And so, yes, you do carry some people into that, but not all of them. Not all of them. And that was always the go from the Bulldogs. They were always very clear about, instead of trying to go from essentially last to first in 1 year by signing Mitch Moses or one big signing, we will go from essentially last to 8th, and then from 8th to 5th, and then 5th to 2nd. You know, like that's a much smarter way to go about it than the other way.
You build the depth with people like a Kurt Mann, Jamin Salmon, who have outperformed what anybody thought they were going to. And again, credit to the Bulldogs, credit to Serrato and the whole team. But yeah, look, I think someone like a Kade Dykes could really do very well under that system.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Big week for Joshy Kerr. His son Atlas was born yesterday. Congratulations to Josh and his partner on the new arrival. Dragons on the verge of re-signing Josh Kerr on a 2-year deal. This blew my mind. Is it because there's new administration there now or something? Because didn't Josh Kerr leave and not necessarily have the happiest things to say about the Dragons when he left?
Yeah, and it was only at the end of 23 as well. So he's been at the Dolphins since like last year and this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not 100% sure of how it ended. But
I'm pretty sure he's quoted saying like it didn't seem like it was the best.
But there is new big dogs in charge down there. So maybe things have changed, and obviously he may have had a chat with Flano and seen how things are progressing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess he would probably still have a lot of friends in the team from his time there, and be able to lean on them and say, "Hey boys, has it
changed?
Is it still a shit show, or is things all right?"
Yeah. I'll try and find the quote because I definitely recall him didn't seem that he was that keen, but you know, good signing for the Dragons. Absolutely what they need. Absolutely what they need.
I mean, they've lost a bit of size. DeBellin, Michael Molo, obviously lost Francis Molo earlier. Rumours around David Clemmer moving on as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of size that they've lost. So having someone like Joshy Kerr is probably not going to break the bank either.
Yep.
Just come in and he's playing, you know, he's playing out of his skin right now. He's just been in Maroon's camp. He's a happy chap. He's just had the bub. So, you know, why not?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, also, now I will say Jake Arthur. He could be heading to the Super League, making his debut for the Knights this weekend against the Panthers, but appears to be on the move to Hull FC in the Super League. I think that, you know, it's good for his career, and, you know, just one of those things where just the age old of, you know, being underneath your dad, unless you are seriously the best of the best, it's just not worth it. I
think it can almost, if he goes, I think we can maybe put a little asterisk against Brad Arthur taking over from Adam O'Brien as well. Like, I think if there was murmurs that he was, you know, that Brad was in the pipeline, you might not go.
Yeah. So I just think myself in that position. Like, if I was a coach and my son was playing NRL, I wouldn't want to coach him, because I'd be like, mate, I don't want to put you through that. You know, my want to coach you doesn't supersede my want for you to be in the best environment possible for you to enjoy your life. And so that's why I've always, like, you know, unless they're a gun, you know, obviously Ivan Cleary's made it work, but he's got the greatest ever underneath him.
That's it. I mean, that's kind of what Jasmine Strange did, right, in the NRLW. Like, she was playing under her old man at the Roosters, and then was like, I'm going to go prove myself somewhere else, not under my dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to head to a break. After the break, plenty more to talk about. Alrighty, welcome back to the Captain's Run. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Alright, let's get into a preview. Storm v the Brizzy Broncos. Thursday, 8 p.m, Amy Park. Storm team news. Liora returns from injury after being rested last week. Atil Lasati returns to the bench. Bronson Garlick drops out. Broncos team news. Payne Haas returns after a leg infection kept him out last week. Xavier Wilson, a broken arm, rules him out. I mean, what a huge clash. To be honest, I actually think it's huge for both teams. You know, obviously, you know, the Storm, they'll be in the top 4. They might even be minor premiers, which would be insane to think. But I think it's a big game for them, because although they've won games, which is super admirable, and, you know, the Storm always have a higher standard than everyone else. But I do think, you know, Craig Bellamy would be sitting there probably like happy they won, but not satisfied with where the level of footy has been at for at least 6 to 7 weeks now. I thought against the Sharks, they were clinical. They were outstanding against the Sharkies. But outside of that, it's a bit touch and go. They've still been good. As I said, they've won all those games. So it's not like they haven't been good. But at the standard that you expect the Storm to, it's going to be interesting. So that's why it's a huge, huge game for the Storm. For the Broncos, look, if they get absolutely belted by the Storm, they are the strangest team in the comp in the sense that, okay, could they come out next week and just like bizarrely go on a run? But I would say the chances drop dramatically of them making any kind of dent in the finals. Because I just go, if this far into the season, like it doesn't, if they lose, it's fine. But if they get belted by the Melbourne Storm down there, I just go like, you basically automatically rule them out of essentially going deep into the finals. Maybe like week 2 if they get lucky. But if they get belted this week, you're basically guaranteeing they can't have 4 games in a row where they're going to be outstanding, because that's what they would need to do to make a grand final and win it. And so that's why it's so important for the Broncos, not necessarily to win, just to have a really, really good performance. Like that's the main key for them. Patience, get through your sets, build your pressure. Don't sit there worrying about scoring points. They'll come eventually. Make sure to go with the first 20 minutes of the Storm, because that's the hardest part against the Melbourne Storm. But what about you, mate? What are you thinking?
I think it's a huge confidence game for them because they play the Storm twice in the run home. So they've got them this week and they've got them in the last round as well.
Yep.
If the Storm do a number on them now, that's going to play into their minds again in round 27, I think. Especially, it could be a pretty important game depending on the makeup of the bottom half of that 8.
Yeah.
And if you've lost to the Storm or get belted by the Storm 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then have to face them again with everything on the line, confidence is going to be shot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think also, like, if you want to have any chance of sneaking into the top 4, they absolutely have to win this game. Because I think right now, they're 1 win outside the top 4. I'll just check here. Apologies, guys. Yeah, so right now they're 1 win off the top 4. Now, granted, they've got Panthers ahead of them, and also they've got the Sharkies if the Sharkies have a bye, because the Sharkies have 12 wins, which is the same as the Warriors. They have a better points differential than the Warriors as well, which would suggest that right now, if everyone was given their byes, the Sharkies would actually be sitting in the 4. So really, for Broncos, it's an absolute must. It's not a must win because, like, if they make the finals, I think that's enough for them to. Like, they are a rare team where they probably could have 4 crazy games.
Yep.
But again, it's just about them playing well. Like, they just need to play well. Like, this, even in their games that they've won, the Broncos, they haven't played well for most of those games. They've just been so hectic for 20 minutes that no team can go with them.
That Sharks game especially.
Yeah.
They were
The Doggies game.
And then just that was
18-0 down.
Yeah.
And then they just went bang, 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 win.
Yeah. It's it really is it's such a different Jekyll and Hyde. There's such different teams.
Yeah.
Between, minutes they change.
Yep. Absolutely.
They've got Storm twice on the run home, 2 Queensland derbies, one against the Dolphins, one against the Cowboys, and then a game against the Knights as well. Dolphins, they're going to be up for it, trying to stay in the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Knights, maybe not, trying to avoid a wooden spoon.
Yep.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight for the Bronx.
It's just like the fact that the Knights are looking to avoid a wooden spoon, and like there are whispers that Adam O'Brien will go around again. Like it's almost outrageous. If
they hadn't signed Dylan Brown for next year, and having that caveat or whatever it is for him to be like, hey, give me next year. We've got the big guy coming.
Yeah, okay.
If they don't sign Dylan Brown, I think he's already gone.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. That is fair. Okay, on to the next game. Knights v Panthers. Speaking of the Knights, Bradman best returns from a knee injury that's kept him out for 3 weeks. Arthur will debut at halfback. Gamble dropped 18th man. Kant and Salesa replace Hastings and Hetherington on the bench. Panthers team news. Isaiah Yo's shoulder injury means Papali'i shifts to lock. Interested about the Papali'i shift to lock. I actually would have gone Lindsay Smith. I don't, maybe it's just a bit of smoke and mirrors, like, because as if they're going to change their whole system just to have Papali'i at 13. So I think that what you'll probably find is Lindsay Smith will play 13, but he'll just have 10 on his back. And I think Papali'i will just be an out-and-out front row, which I'm surprised that from the get-go, he wasn't signed as an out-and-out front rower.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know Scott Sorensen's been injured or whatever, but Scott Sorensen and Liam Martin, they're my starting back rows at their full strength. And then I don't mind a Moses Leota and also Papali'i. I go Leota, Lindsay Smith to start, and then Papali'i coming off the bench in the middle for impact. So I've been a bit surprised that they haven't really done it. However, obviously they're doing it here where he is playing out and out front row. With the Knights, I will say Bradman Best, like, he changes that team.
Yeah.
He really changes that team. When they're, a few weeks ago, when he came back in for, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, they looked completely different. Like, against the Raiders, they were going with them for most of that game. And a lot of it was on the back of, I think, Bradman Best, if I recall correctly. So that's a huge in. But I guess, a halves pairing of Arthur and also Pogger. I just don't know whether it's going to go. I will say, in regards to the Penrith, though, Penrith Panthers, we've seen them without every key player. Without Luai, without Cleary, without To'o, Edwards, all of them. We've never seen them without Isaiah Yeo, really, for a long period of time. And my assumption would be, when I saw that tackle, it looked like a sublux of the shoulder. It looked like a 6-week potential rehab, but maybe a reconstruction at the end of the year. And so I am super intrigued to see this team without Isaiah Yeo.
There's been a few times over the 4-year run where someone that hasn't gotten the plaudits has been out. And they kind of realised when Luai was out, they went, oh, we just realised just how much Luai was doing. And I think that's what we're going to start to see this weekend, where you go, oh, Yo has been driving so much of this.
Yeah, well, he's been through it all. Every time anyone else has been injured, he's always been there. So super interested to see how that pans out. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Don't forget, Bloke Footy Shorts with pockets, in collaboration with Aussie Footy Shorts. They are dropping next Monday at 6 p.m. We've got a bunch of different designs, all new designs, very, very limited designs, and they're dropping next Monday at 6 p.m. on www.bloke.shop and also on Aussie Footy Shorts website as well. Okay, Raiders, team news. Their team is unchanged. Manly team news, Hopewadi's shoulder injury sees Tommy Turbo at the back. Tommy Talau moves to centres with Shop joining the bench, and Cheekham replaces Ben Trbojevic in the second row. Now, it's also just come out that apparently, the Trbojevic brothers are concerned about re-signing with coaching concerns. Now, that was broken on NRL 360 last night. And there's always been, well, not always, but for a lot of Seibold's coaching career at the Manly Seagulls, there has been whispers about the playing group not necessarily clicking with his style of coaching. Ironically, it seems to be a bit of a pattern, that the Broncos, same stuff happened. Players struggled to click with his coaching style. Unfortunately for the Manly Seagulls, I just think they need to rip the Band-Aid off. Because if you've got a playing group for essentially a year and a half, you're hearing whispers that they're just not clicking with the coach, or at least key players aren't. It's how do you pull that back when it's been that long? And so I think that it's probably an opportunity to look on the market at the very least. Now, obviously, the tough thing is who's out there right now? Who is really out there that, obviously you got Josh Hannay, but we'll get to it later. But Hannay was actually spotted in Townsville recently, which is an interesting little insight. Former Cowboy. Makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of synergy between him and the Cowboys. Peyton obviously under pressure. I think that does seem sometimes when you hear Peyton talk that he kind of feels like it probably is the end. But I guess we'll see. But your thoughts on this game, mate?
This is going to be an interesting. I think the thing that we've really, not realised about the Raiders this year is just how consistent they've been in terms of being able to field the same team.
Yeah.
Which has been so underrated in terms of building what they're building.
Well, the last 4 years, the Panthers have been the least injuries of anyone. Mm-hmm. It's literally a key denominator.
Exactly. And the fact that you look at the NRL team list on Tuesday and they say no changes from last week.
Yep.
You go, that just must be such a better starting point
Yep.
every week that you go, all right, boys, granted they lost to the Dragons, so whether or not you're rolling out the same game plan. But this game, I think in terms of the Seabold coaching thing, you talk about synergy with Josh Hannay and the Cowboys, bit of synergy around maybe a Matt Ballin with Manly taking over there.
I like that. So he was actually, I'm pretty sure he was the defensive coach of the Broncos when they made the grand final.
Yeah, right.
I think he still is actually the defensive coach, or at the very least a part of that Broncos thing. I like that. He's done his apprenticeship, per se. When it comes to earning his stripes as a Manly Seagull, he's done that, for
he
sure.
knows the club.
He knows the club. The old boys would love him. He'd demand respect. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all.
Some of those boys would have come through when he was still a senior player, right? Like your Jakes and
Probably
maybe
Jake.
Tommy, maybe just
Maybe just
crossover?
missed Tommy.
Yeah, right.
But probably Jake, I'd say.
Definitely DC. I mean, DCE is not there
Yeah,
next
he's
year,
gone.
but
Yeah, I don't mind the Matt Ballin one because the thing is that, funnily enough, the clubs that go rookie coaches have gone well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, at the moment, Peyton, it's not great. But since he arrived, they've made finals every year except for 2 of them. So I think it's 3 years making finals, 2 years not. It might be 2 and 2, but I think it's 3 and 2. So that's a good thing. When you think of where they came from, they were bloody last or close to last. And then you go to Fitzgibbon, you go Serraldo, you go Webster. All the rookie coaches have gone well. So
that next gen, isn't it?
yeah, that next generation, connecting to that next generation of player too. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, the final hour. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Dragons team news unchanged from the team that defeated the Raiders last weekend. And then Sharkies, Rudolph replaces Colquhoun on the bench in the only change to the team that beat the Cowboys on Sunday. Bit of a very strange match because, Sharky should really put a score on them because if they're, top 4 or a premiership threat and where the Dragons are, you would think the Sharkies put a score on them, but I don't think the Sharkies have played consistently for long enough to kind of, garner that kind of confidence. And so you look at this game and it really is, like, I'm going to go the Sharkies to win, and I'm going to hope win well, but to me, it's almost a flip of a coin because it could almost go the flip side. It could go Dragons win well. But I think it's a really important game for the Sharks from a perspective of just building confidence into finals footy. Like, they really can't afford to go into the back of the season winning a game, dropping a game, winning a game, dropping a game. They've really got to, if they could win at least 3 from 4 or 4 from 5 or whatever it is, I think that would just give them a lot of confidence heading into finals footy because there are one team that I don't think could probably switch it on for finals. Like, there are a few teams that are so hot and cold, they're so used to it that they could probably bizarrely switch it on for the finals. Whereas I look at the Sharkies and I feel like, if there's one ingredient they probably lack in finals is confidence. Now, I know they had a win last year, which will obviously give them a lot of confidence, but I think confidence is a key factor in how they will go in finals footy. I think Bulldogs are a little bit similar, but maybe have proven themselves a bit more. Whereas, like, for example, the Broncos, they could go into finals, they could get beaten by 50, or they could beat someone by 50, because that's just what they've been all season. So this is a really important game for confidence. For Dragons, it's all just about building on last week, like they've been gritty all year, and it's about turning those close losses into wins. That's what it is. It's about going, okay, listen, we probably can't make the 8, which is okay. We never expected to win the comp this year. Even Shane Flanagan has said in the post-match press conference last week, which I actually really respect. He said, listen, let's be honest, we weren't winning the comp this year. And I respect that from Shane Flanagan because it's just an honesty to the fans that, because, like, if you're sitting there going, oh, no, we could have won the comp and it's been, this hasn't worked, it's almost like you're not acknowledging a plan in place to eventually get to that point. And so by saying, probably not going to win this year, then you're probably taking steps to get to a point where you might be able to say that. Now, granted, you're not going to say that at the start of the year because then you're giving your playing group an out. Basically, like if they don't win or they're out of the 8, then you're basically saying, boys, this is where we're supposed to be. So at the end of the year, though, I can understand it. So it's just all about building into next year for the Dragons. He's blooded a lot of young guys. I'm really excited for these young forwards coming through at the Dragons. So it's just about getting more time into them, getting them ready for next year, another preseason under Shane Flanagan, and then seeing how they go from there. But, you know, they have been more consistent than last year. I know they're probably going to end up in about the same position, but I reckon that the Dragons have been much more consistent, you know. And you look at their record, and if they had won a lot of these tight games, like they're sitting in the top 4. And I know that's a lot of, you know, wishing and hoping, and if they had done this and had done that. But the reality is a lot of their losses have been either 6 and less or 2 and less, that's a good thing. It means they're tough. It means they hang in games. They never give up. And that's the thing that I think there are a lot of clubs that would kill to have that in their side. You know, they would kill just to have a side that may not be as skillful, but at least they hang in contests. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Dolphins v Roosters, Saturday, 5:30 p.m, Suncorp Stadium. Dolphins, Herbie Farnworth drops out with a hamstring injury. Nafahu moves into the centres. Nichols starts at prop in place of Kafusi. Fini Fiuaki joins the bench in his return from injury. And Roosters are unchanged. Man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. I'm going to go Dolphins just because, like, I'm sick of counting them out. I'm sick of being like, okay, this is the week where they get towed up. Now, granted, as soon as I do that, I bet you it's the week they get towed up, which is just my luck. But I think the Dolphins, because they just seem to be next man up. Like, their amount of injuries, like obviously South are the most, but I tell you what, Dolphins wouldn't be that far off when it comes to injuries. They really wouldn't be. Their injury toll has been crazy. I mean, Flegler hasn't even bloody played a game for them. He was their marquee signing. Gilbert, gone all year. That's your starting front row, gone. Gonskis for the whole year. And yet, look where they're at. And that doesn't include all the other injuries. Max Plath, one of their best players last year, gone for a long period of time. You know, you name it. Jeremy Marshall-King gone for a while. Like, there's just, now they've got Herbie Farnworth gone. They've had a lot of injuries. They've shown a lot of ticker, so get around them. The Roosters, I just think, I hope they make the 8, even though it's going to be very tough, just because I would hate for them to miss the 8 and then people forget how many young guys they've kind of debuted this year and how, you know, impressive they have been at times with the young side. And I think that, you know, we have to be fair dinkum. At the start of the year, most of us didn't have them making the 8. So if they do make the 8, that's actually exceeding a lot of people's expectations than people thought. So it's kind of like, you know, if they can land at least close to the 8 or in the 8, plus they've also debuted a bunch of players, I think that's a good thing for the Roosters. I think everyone was pretty clear this year was a rebuild year. I don't mind where the Roosters are at right now. Is it you know, world beating? Like, I don't think so. Is it satisfactory? I'd give them a pass mark this year when you consider that most people acknowledge it was a rebuild year. But in this game, you know, obviously the Roosters are desperate to win it because then that keeps them in touch with the 8, kind of. Whereas the Dolphins, it's all just about staying in the 8 for them, so that's why they're desperate to win it. So I'll just check out the ladder where the Dolphins are at. So the Dolphins are currently 8th. They've got 10 wins, and then the teams in front of them, Sharkies have 12, and then the Broncos and Panthers have 11. So, like, this 8th position is red hot. Like, it is red hot because you've got Roosters on 9, Eagles on 9 wins. And so, basically, you've got 3 teams, Dolphins, Roosters, and Sea Eagles, essentially fighting for that 8th position. Yeah, or, you know, if the Dolphins go on a streak and the Broncos lose a few games, there is a chance where, you know, that would be, you know, the Roosters have to go on a streak and they'd have to win. The Broncos would have to drop at least 3 or 4, probably 3 games minimum for the Roosters to crawl into the 8. So really it's between the Dolphins, Roosters, and the Sea Eagles fighting for that 8th position. So it's basically a 4-point swing for the Dolphins this game for both teams. So it really will be almost like a grand final. It'll almost be like a grand final for both sides because this is arguably season defining. You know, if you're the Dolphins and let's say, for example, Manly lose to the Raiders and then you beat the Roosters, you go 2 wins ahead with about 4 games to go, which is essentially you're not getting caught unless you, I don't know, like bloody just lose every single game. So really, really important game. Okay, got some text here. Bring back Des from Brad. Okay, Desi to the Manly Seagulls. You heard he hit first. Could you imagine? Hey, mate, would love to hear your thoughts on Chad Townsend hairline. a great head of hair. Wish mine was half as good. Mate, I've spoken about Townsend's hairline ad nauseum so much. I love it. Kempy, don't forget Tigers could make it look at the draw and who plays. What? Kempy, don't forget Tigers could make it to. Look at the draw and who plays who. There's a bigger chance than you think the Tigers could make it. Okay, so the Tigers right now are on 8 wins. So they would need Seagulls, Roosters, and also Dolphins to really, crap the bed. Unfortunately, I just don't see it happening, mate. I just don't see. But basically, the Tigers would need to win every single game here on out, which I just don't think is probably going to happen. But it's still possible. It's still possible. Okay. What about Matt Arthur at the Knights? Great point, mate. In regards to Brad Arthur coming back, Matt Arthur is there. Highly touted kid. That's a good point. Interesting to see how they navigate that. Kempy, love this in all your shows. Josh Hannay spotted at Townsville yesterday, looking more and more pressure on Payton. Would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I think in regards to the Hannay at the Cowboys, it just makes sense. Like, he's a former player. Payton under massive, massive pressure. Basically 2 years now. So was it last year as well that they missed the 8? No, they made the 8 last year, but it was the year before they missed the 8. Last year, I think they went loss. They lost to the Sharkies in the second week. So it must have been maybe even win-loss. I guess they're a bit under pressure. Oh, not I guess. I know they're a bit under pressure. Whereas I look at Hannay and it just seems to make sense. And I think also Toddy Payton, like, let's say he does get moved on, doesn't mean his career's over. Like, he's got plenty more time, and maybe it's just the roster. He has had success in the NRL. Like, he's made finals footy with a roster that was coming like 14th when he arrived, and he's made it 3 out of 5 years. Like, that's nothing to sniff at. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Do the Cowboys need to make a quick call in case someone else snatches up Hannay? That's going to be interesting. Okay, another text here. Kempy, you're riding off the Tigers who have 8 wins, a bye this week. If they win all games and a few of the teams around 8th lose. Tony, do you reckon the Tigers are going to win every game they have for the rest of the year? Like, that's a low possibility. So, like, for me saying that it's probably not going to happen is more probable than it actually happening. And I don't think that's an unreasonable take. If it does happen, I would love for the Tigers to make the 8. But you're banking on 3 teams to absolutely crap the bed. Like, absolutely crap the bed. 3 different teams. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Okay, got some more texts here. Beak, Dykes has had 3 knee reconstructions the last 3 years. Risky signing. Yeah, that's fair. Like, he has. But we have seen many, many players like Tedesco. We've seen a bunch of players that have had quite a few knee reconstructions that they get to a club and for some reason it seems to work. It seems to work. And the Bulldogs, they have one of the best conditioning programs in the comp, so got to back them in. Okay, another text here from Daniel. Raiders have Manly this week, should win. They'll have the premiership locked up and will be looking to rest their stars second week. Tigers' remaining games are Manly. Tigers' remaining games are Manly, who are in the race, winnable. Raiders, who will rest their stars, and Cowboys and Titans. Look, you guys are pretty bullish on this. I guess we'll see. I don't know if Raiders will be resting stars. Don't Raiders have a lot of buys over the next few weeks? I'm pretty sure Raiders have. The Raiders have 2 buys in this up their sleeve. I don't think they'll be resting them. Alrighty, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we'll continue previewing the round. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. And we've got the great Damien Cook on the line. Cookie, how you going, brother?
Afternoon, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All on your time, mate. Don't worry about that. Just leave us hanging.
Mate, you know how it is. They give a schedule and they never stick to it, the coaches, do they?
Oh, okay. Blaming the coaches. Okay, I see what's going on here. Mate, how you been? Obviously, it's been a tough little run for you guys. How's the morale in the joint?
No, it's been really good. I think, other than the Cowboys game, we probably didn't get off to a good start. We just let a lot of soft tries in, which went against everything we've sort of done the month before that against some quality sides where we just fell short. So I think the win on the weekend was much needed, obviously, and a lot of belief to come out of the last month of footy, and especially beating the top of the table Raiders. So a lot of work in front of us, but all we can do is try and win each game and hope things go a bit our way and finish the season off well. And good to sneak into the finals, but see how we go.
And like that's the tough thing with your kind of season is like when you look at the whole of it, it's like, oh, okay, you could have made the 8 and you're close to it. However, when you actually look at each game, you guys have lost like a lot of your games by 6 or less. And it's just like you've been there or thereabouts, which is it's a silver lining. It's a silver lining.
It is, and that's what at the moment all we can do is win all our games and sort of hope things go our way. But if you don't, you look back at a lot of those close games where we've lost, and you can take a bit of frustration out of that. Obviously, especially those ones where we're leading, we tend to go early in the year. But also, like you said, silver lining. Moving forward, we're not getting flogged. We're competing really well out there. There's a great attitude amongst the playing group, and we're fighting right to the end. Just haven't managed to get over the line a few times, but the scoreline's been there. So we've been in all the games, probably bar Dolphins and Roosters, which was just most teams will have them. It's just a bad day in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the weekend, the win against Raiders, geez, you could tell the boys wanted that one. I mean, against the competition leaders, getting the job done, that's got to build a lot of confidence with the boys.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. And like I said, a lot of the boys, we needed that win, and it felt like we deserved it. Went out and got it this time. So you could just probably see the passion and excitement after the game as well, how much it meant to us. And probably a lot of people would have written us off and forgiven us for getting beat by a team like the Raiders, who are red hot at the moment. So it was a great, well-deserved win for us in the club.
And in regards to, you look at the Dragons, and you actually have beaten the Storm and the Raiders. And I think that, like, the really good thing, positive, heading into next year is, like, some of these top 8 sides struggle to go against the top 4 sides. I guess you guys at your best, it would give you a lot of confidence because you actually can go toe-to-toe with some of these top-tier sides.
Yeah, that's right. We you can look at some of the wins we've had over the year. Being Broncos being another one, who they're going to be definitely contenders to win the grand final when they play their best footy. Beating the Storm at home was a big one as well for us to start the year. It's our first one of the year, and going toe-to-toe with the Bulldogs both times, and one all with the Raiders. So, a lot of positives to take out of the season so far. But at the same time, there's been a lot of frustration as well, where we've just like we spoke about before, those close games, losing by 8 or less. There's been a few of those.
And, mate, heading back down to the Gong. You living in the Gong or you live in the Shire?
No, still living in the Shire. The travel's, not too bad. It's no traffic on the way down, so I'm going against it both ways, which is nice. But every now and then we get a Cogger session like today. So, mate, it's been a home game for me, only 15 minutes from home.
Oh, not bad at all. Do you guys still get the bus down together?
No, it's not like it when the boys all used to get on the same bus, that big minivan sort of thing they used to drive down together. So I think it's just everyone's got different schedules at times as well.
Yep.
People can be in different weights groups, recovery groups, maybe treatment in the morning. So it's just a bit different, where everyone doesn't sort of just start at the same time every day.
In regards to your return to the Dragons, like, was it a bit strange, all coming away all through the Steelers and the history you had there, and obviously strange in a good way to be able to come home to the club that you kind of all started at?
Yeah, it was a little strange when I first, walked back in the doors, and the facilities are, pretty similar. Not much has changed, and there's still some staff getting around. Scotty Stewart's one, and Snake is another one who've been there since all the way through Hale Matts and SG Ball and the Steelers. So been there a long time. So those familiar faces, though, and the staff probably helped this transition a little bit. Felt like coming home a little bit was nice. Back to where I played all my junior footy. So it was a strange feeling, a bit of a full circle moment. But really enjoying it back down here.
And what do you reckon the main difference is between when you left and now?
It's hard. I'm a completely, different player in the sense of, right then I was a bit young. You walk into the sheds, you got the likes of Matt Cooper and all those boys. You just sort of just went about your business, didn't say too much, just trained hard and kept your head down and worked hard. Where coming back now as a senior player, it's a whole different look on how you've got to approach it. And I feel like we're, along with the other senior boys there, we've got a really good culture there of the young boys and the older boys. Everyone's won, and a bit. I guess the game probably changed, and you could probably understand this too, just with everyone sort of is one. There's not too many groups where senior boys and young boys anymore.
Yep.
That's probably one sort of way the game has headed. Which is good. But yeah, so the difference between since I was back there is, it's hard to say, but it's just a lot of different faces in the football team as well. So probably my look on it's a lot of similarities, which has made it really nice to come back to as well. But some really good staff involved again, like Dan Lawson, you might have had down there taking over the high performance staff, which was a big thing for me. Being in an older age, I thought they'd be really good for me, know how to best look after me in the later years of the career. And
in regards to Flano, what's it like working under Flano?
He's been great. I think the whole coaching staff here are really good too. We've got Flano, and then we've got Ryan Carr, really smart attacking coach, and Dean Young, obviously a club great as well, who's doing the defensive stuff. And mate, they give us all the info we need. It's great coaching from Flano down, but it's just the issue we've probably had this year is just not going out and quite executing that each week. So mate, I really enjoyed it. It's been another set of eyes on me, fresh set of eyes on me as well, which again, later in my career has been good. Having Shane and the other two sort of give me advice in different areas that I probably haven't had for a few years back at South.
And you guys have blooded a really good batch of young forwards. Who's someone that's really stood out for you?
I think Hamish Stewart's been a real good one. And Dylan Eagle's another one who got injured early in the year. But that's one thing I love about the boys out here. We've got a great bunch of young guys who have got a great attitude and want to train hard and just got a good head on their shoulders as well. And there's been a couple of injuries with the Couchmans. Well, I've played alongside and Dylan Egan as well. But probably Hamish is one that those other boys had a bit of some big injuries that ruled them out for the season. Hamish has been had to get through a lot of work this year for a young guy coming in after his debut, and I think he's a great ball playing lock who's got his career off to a great start.
And just quietly, when you are down at Wollongong, have you seen my ghost there? Because I feel like I left part of my soul down in Wollongong.
You definitely did in that apartment building, I reckon. You're up in the penthouse, which was nice.
Give me a break. Hey, hang on a sec. Hang on. I was a battler back then. I mean, I still am a battler. I'm still a battler, but I was a battler back then.
It was good times back then in the Cutters, that's for sure.
Now, have you taken up any cleaning since you've been back down there? I know that was your old job, mate.
It was. Look, that job was great for me in the sense of I like to clean up at home. So, but the worst thing is having to judge other people's cleaning for a job when I did it back then. It makes me very particular about how I clean things and how other people clean stuff as well.
Oh, mate, and just quickly before you let you go, are you enjoying moving a bit into 13 at times?
Yeah, I am actually. It's I think we've got a great little 1-2 punch here with Lids. He's doing a great job. His running game at the moment is really making a big difference when we can sort of get some momentum, put some fatigue into the other forwards and let him come on and run amok. And then if he takes off, and then I can always get to hooker and finish the set off, or vice versa. So I'm really enjoying that lock position. Speaking to Kari, our assistant coaches, the more time I get there, the better I'm sort of doing in that role as well. Sometimes I find myself just following the ruck a bit too much when I've got to make sure I pull out and hold that shape for the forwards. So that's always been a work on. But really enjoying it.
Mate, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
No worries, mate. I'll give you the address for the coffee beans.
Hey, mate, I'll send you some. There he is, a great cookie. As always, very, very, generous with his time. We really do appreciate. And I do. I've said it all year. Well, not all year, but for at least half the year, I do think the Dragons are building nicely. Yes, okay. Did they finish? Or are they going to finish in the 8? Small chance they still might. But the positive is, compared to last year, last year they didn't finish in the 8, and also they didn't really debut a lot of young forwards. This year, debuted a lot of young forwards, were more consistent, just missed the 8. I think that's better. I think that's better. Okay, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All righty, let's get into it. Bulldogs v the Warriors, Saturday 7:30 at Accor Stadium. Doggies named the same side, the lost to the Tigers. Warriors team news. Harris Tavita returns. Tomato Martin returns to the bench. Vaimunga returns from a knee injury, but the Warriors are still missing Fisher Harris and Egan, as well as Laban. I think Fisher Harris is on the extended bench, though. Yeah, I think, again, funnily enough, it's a little bit similar to, I guess, even the Storm Broncos game, where both teams similar. So the Broncos, they're trying to make it into the 4. The Warriors also trying to stay in the 4. And the Bulldogs, like the Storm, although they're going well, they've looked a bit shaky at times. And so the Bulldogs, even though as I said, they're in the top 4, they're probably cemented there, they're not going anywhere. I do think that they probably need to build a little confidence heading into finals footy, especially when there might be a couple of scars from last year in regards to rolling into finals footy a bit out of form. And so it's going to be interesting to see, is that the case? Is it a case for a second year in a row that they've run out a bit of a puff? And the reason I say that is because they are such a fit side, and they really do rely on being fitter than the opposition, and it's all about line speed. Did they, when you have to rely on that, sometimes your preseasons can be so hard that by the time you get to the end of the year, you're just kind of running out of steam. And, it's what the Penrith Panthers handled so well, is their ability to, rest players, not rest players, give players less minutes. Granted, like the Penrith Panthers, I know they weren't stars at the time, but you could argue probably had a few more stars in at least the second or third year of their reign, whereas the Bulldogs probably don't have the same luxury. They also probably don't have the same amount of juniors as well. But that's the real question. And I don't know whether that's a yes or no answer, like if they're fatigued or not. It's just, it is something to watch. And so that's why I think it's really important the Bulldogs get a win. In regards to Warriors, they've just got to find a way. They've just got to find a way to win as many games to stay in the top 4. Because, getting at least one home final, it's so important because they bring anyone back to New Zealand. It's, that's a tough place to go. I'll never forget when the Knights went down there in 2023, and you could just tell the Knights were just sitting there just going, nah, this is crazy. Like this atmosphere, the Warriors came out absolutely clinical and just put an absolute clinic on them. And so they've just got to find a way to win most of their games. They could probably drop one, maybe, if that, unless, that obviously then they have to expect Broncos, Panthers, and the Sharkies to drop at least one. Well, Sharkies would actually have to, if they drop one, Sharkies would have to drop 2. So, mate, it's a tight race. Funnily enough, a lot can change around in the top 8, but also in the top 4, because when you look at that top 4, the Warriors on 12 wins, Sharks on 12 wins, Panthers on 11, Broncos on 11. Like if the Warriors are to, let's just say, I don't know, win 1 from 4, there is a world where they could even drop out of the 8. If it just goes on an absolute disaster run for them. Now I'll just look at what is their run home. So they've got the Dragons, which is always a tough game. Then the next week, the Warriors have the Titans, they should be able to get that done. Then they've got the Eels, tough game. Then they got the Seagulls. So if they are to drop most of those games, that would be a shocking result. So the good thing is they have a good run home. It's just a matter of just hanging in there. So really, the good thing about if they do find a way to win this match, the Warriors, it'll just set them up for these other matches. They'll just go in with much more confidence. But yeah, the Bulldogs, I think actually the Bulldogs have quite a tough run home. So the Doggies, they go Broncos, they go Roosters, who will be playing for their season. They then go the Melbourne Storm. They then go the Penrith Panthers. Holy. They then go the Sharkies, who will be playing maybe for a top 4 position. Yeah, wow. That is a rough run home for the Doggies. Now, you could look at it 2 ways. You could say, okay, the positive is they are absolutely going to know whether they're ready to go by finals footy. The negative is, geez, that's almost like finals footy every single week because Roosters do or die. Sharkies essentially do or die because they want to be in the top 4. Warriors, do or die. They want to be in the top 4. Melbourne Storm, they want to be minor prems. So, geez, tough run home. Tough run home. Okay, got some text here. Denon, the Raiders only have one bye, and COD is could or cold. It's not could or cold. It's could. So you have to emphasize the ke. Could. I don't know how to do it, bro. I'll do my best. Listen, man, I'm trying to learn Polynesian last names. Let me get through that first, and then I'll get to Lebanese insults, okay? Or Arabic insults, all right? I'll get through the Polynesian last names, and then I'll get through the Arabic insults. Okay, Kemper, you have all this chat about the Sharks getting the 4 and now Warriors not making the 8, but you can't say the Tigers have... Oh, my God, bro, let it go. Let it go. Jesus. My God, we're going to go to a break. I can't do it. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, and do not forget, next Monday, 6 p.m, Bloke and Aussie Footy Shorts, a collaboration with Aussie Footy Shorts, are dropping at 6 p.m. That's right, footy shorts with pockets, and we've got 9 different designs. You're going to like these ones, trust me. Set your alarm, limited amount. Alrighty, Titans v Rabbitohs. I get the worry I have with the Rabbitohs is like, have they just run out of energy? Like, have they truly just... Because they have been brave all season, and I know last week was, a very tough loss for them, and I just wonder, they're heading into the back end of the year. I know Latrell's on the extended bench, but it's a tough one. I would understand if they have run out of energy because they have just been hanging on by a thread all year long. But anyway, Titans team news, Khan Pereira comes in on the wing to replace Sammy under concussion protocols. You'd be stoked as a Titans fan hearing that. Wasn't a penalty try. Not only did we not get the penalty try, he's now out next week. That is outrageous stuff. That is outrageous stuff. Oh, man. Honestly, that's like one of the... There's been some tough calls this year. I think that's one of the worst. I really do. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, Chris Randall returns from concussion in the back row. Jacob Alec Wenke shifting to the bench. Rabbitohs team news, Smith is named to return from a knee injury on the bench, and Ward retains his spot in the halves of Lewis Dodd. Oh, wow. That's tough. That's tough. Listen, look, Lewis Dodd he doesn't have to leave. He didn't sign himself, and, if I'm Lewis Dodd, until I can get someone to, supplement the contract so I'm getting what I'm owed, I will say he's probably going to have to take a little bit of a hit in regards to getting that $700K over that. I think it's a 3-year deal. But geez, it just hasn't gone right, has it? It has hasn't been good from the start. So I feel sorry for Lewis Dodd, but I guess it is what it is, professional sport. In regards to this performance, it really just comes down to, you look at the Titans, they don't have anywhere near the amount of injuries that the Rabbitohs do. I know the Rabbitohs have been tough, but I think the Titans are just going to be too good, especially with their confidence they're probably going to have built from the last few weeks. Beaten the Warriors, should have beaten the Panthers. So I think the Titans get the job done here. I think it's going to be a pretty good win for them. Okay, Eels versus Cowboys, Sunday 4 p.m, CommBank Stadium. Okay, it's got the Shark. Okay, so sorry, it says Shark team news. I was like, what? Okay, for the Eels, it's Kelma Tulangi joins the bench after returning from suspension. Sam Rani replaces Sean Russell. Interesting, Sam Rani replaces Sean Russell and not Bailey Simonson in the centres after he suffered a broken hand last week. And Dylan Walker is named to start at lock, with Moretti moving to the bench. And then in regards to the Cowboys, Taumalolo, Clifford, Vailea, McKaylee, all return from injury. And Zach Laybuck replaces Derby on the wing. And Nanai shifts back into the forwards after starting at centre last week. And Purdue moves back to the centres. For Cowboys, it's all about pride from here on out. We got a text earlier saying, if Peyton's under pressure, then why isn't Craig Fitzgibbon under pressure? Well, I think the difference is Fitzy's made the finals every single year. Last year he went a game deeper, but also the difference is Fitzy doesn't have 5 or 6 Origin players. Cowboys are a much bigger club than the Sharkies. And so, you put 5 Origin players into that Shark side, she'd be tough to beat. So I think what Fitzy's done at the Sharks has been outstanding. I really do. Okay. In regards to who's going to win, look, the Eels have just shown more. The Eels have just shown so much more than the Cowboys have. And I think the Eels' defence as well, when you look at these last few weeks, their defence has been quite good. And so I just don't know, really will the Cowboys, which is usually pretty good attack or good attack, can it be better than the Eels' defence? Because we know the Cowboys' defence, like, for example, if the Cowboys win, it's probably going to be like 30-26 or something like that. Whereas we know that the Eels can win 14-12 or 14-8. And so, it really will just depend. If they can keep them to less than 12, then obviously the Eels win. So in regards to this game, I'm going to go the Eels to get the job done. Eels to get the job done. Okay, got some text here. Simonson has requested a release from Para as he has taken down the pecking order. I haven't seen that reported. I'd be quite surprised because the Eels signed Simonson when he was injured with an ACL, I think, a 2 or 3 year deal. So I'd be very surprised if now he's turned around and said, I want to release, unless he's got a deal somewhere else or. Okay, that's another text. Simonson has requested a release. Okay, wow, that is surprising. We'll get our producer to see if there's any info on that.
Yeah, I'm on Zero Tackle here. It says outside back for the Parramatta Eels has reportedly requested a release from the club despite being contracted for another 2 seasons.
Wow, that's quite surprising unless he's got a good deal elsewhere. But I will say, like, they did show a lot of faith in him when he was injured. Like, they really did. Getting a 3-year deal when you've just done your ACL and, you're in and out of first grade at times. He's a bloody good player, Bailey Simonson. Okay, well, that does make sense. I understand where the Eels are coming from there. Okay, here's another text. Dodd just needs to get himself out there as quick as possible. Watching him last week, you can tell he could get a gig at a number of clubs. Bennett hasn't liked him from the start, probably because he wasn't the one that signed him. P.S. Tigers make the 8. Watching him last week, it's you can tell he'd get a gig at a number of clubs. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I'd be actually quite surprised if any other club was interested at this stage. Maybe on a minimum as a training on a minimum as a backup 7 that could potentially grow into a good 7. But I don't think any other club would be interested in him on around anywhere 300 or 400K. I don't think they'd be interested. There's so many young guys coming through. I think his best bet is probably to go back to the Super League because even in New South Wales Cup, to my understanding, hasn't necessarily set the world alight. It's just been tough. As I said, I feel sorry. He came into a squad, a lot of pressure, a lot of talk. It hasn't been, of course, he's got to take responsibility of his form, but at the same time, it's just been a disastrous year for Rabbitohs. So, look, if you're sitting there saying because the Rabbitohs have had such a tough year, maybe if you went to a club that was going well, that would get the best out of him, maybe. Okay, we're going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, brought to you by Aussie Footy Shorts. Make sure next week, 6 p.m, Aussie Footy Shorts and Bloke collaboration, 9 different designs, footy shorts with pockets. Set your alarms. Trust me, guys, the best in the biz. Alrighty, that's another episode done and dusted. Now, quickly, just a text here. Kempy, he toured the Titans facility. Simonson, okay, interesting. I think, I would like him at the Titans. Hopefully the Eels are okay with it, I guess. As I said, I think the Eels were quite loyal to him, but if it's a mutual thing and the Eels think it's fine, then by all means, go to the Gold Coast. Hopefully they can rebuild. Alrighty, that's us done and doosted. Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate it. Got the run home next, so make sure to stay tuned.